Earlier this year, I made a video showcasing some of the most unique and enchanting lesser known places that England has to offer. And now we're journeying deeper into England, from the historic depths of Northumberland to the mystical landscapes of Cornwall. Now, I always find cathedrals fascinating, whether they are iconic ruins or time-defying masterpieces. And this first location may not even really be a hidden gem, but it is a cathedral that I overlooked for so many years. And that is Gloucester Cathedral. In my opinion, this is the most impressive cathedral I have seen in England. It holds the tomb of King Edward II. The stained glass windows are some of the most beautiful and unique I have seen, and more recently was turned into Hogwarts for multiple Harry Potter films, so I'm sure you recognise some of these cloisters. Heading up north now, and if you've ever done the Yorkshire Three Peaks, you will likely know about a mountain called Ingleborough, as it is one of them. But this mountain is not just a hiker's paradise, but also a very historically interesting place. And firstly, I want to show you Gaping Gill, which is a naturally formed gaping hole in the ground on the slopes of Ingleborough. It was formed over 350 million years ago and is actually 111 meters deep. And speaking of standing on high ledges looking down, let's head to the Peak District next, because if we walk from the town of Matlock up the High Tor, which is one of the highest inland cliffs in England, by the way, we can find Giddy Edge. You have a rail to hold on to. This narrow path along the cliff stands at around 300 feet above Matlock, and it was originally used for quick access to the quarry, but as expected, the townspeople heard about it and, well, obviously no one could pass up the opportunity. If you're wondering if you would be able to cross Giddy Edge, Ellie is absolutely terrified of heights, and she did manage to do it, but she did have this to say.
Just don't do it. It's not pleasant. There's rails, but it's not rails all the way around.
Scariness scale of 1 to 10.
7 out of 10.
So next up we have a very unique spot, and I know you're looking at it now, you may just think it looks like a big hill surrounded by a few ditches, but this was firstly an Iron Age fortification back in 400 BC, before being occupied by the Romans in 43 AD. William the Conqueror used this site during the early years of the Norman invasion, and in the 1100s it was completely rebuilt, and this is what we can see today, including the remains of an enormous cathedral that stood here until everybody moved off this hill and down into the valley to build another cathedral down there, which we now call Salisbury. So in short, the amount of history that has happened at Old Sarum is just ridiculous. And whilst we're in Wiltshire, how about a quick stop at the largest artificial prehistoric mound in Europe? Yeah, that's right, you probably didn't expect that to be here, but it is. This is Silbury Hill, and it's shrouded in mystery. It was thought that it may be a burial mound, much like many of the other burial mounds that you can find in the areas around Stonehenge, but in 1776 an excavation was done where they dug a vertical hole straight down from the top of it, expecting to find remains, but they found nothing, just further adding to the mystery of this place. A remarkable feat of Neolithic engineering, and I think it really changes your perspective of what humans were capable of back then. If you do want to see more interesting stories like this one, by the way, please do subscribe. In the next part of this series, we're heading to yet another prehistoric spot that really changes your perspective of time. This is the Blue Pool, which is a flooded clay pit known for its ever-changing colours of the water throughout the year. You feel like you've just walked through a portal, especially when you see this clearing for the first time, and you know, maybe a dinosaur could just pop out from behind a tree for all we know. And I mean, we are pretty close to the Jurassic Coast after all, and again, more on dinosaur footprints in the next part. So next up we have a long drive ahead of us because we're heading all the way up to the Northumberland coast. And I'm sure you've heard of Lindisfarne, also known as the Holy Island, which is what the Vikings named it when they landed on it in 793, which was the first Viking raid in England. But you may not know that there is another smaller island just next to Lindisfarne called St. Cuthbert's Island. And it's said that St. Cuthbert used to come here when he wanted to retreat away from the other monks at the abbey, as this island is only accessible when the tide is at its lowest point and is very soon separated from Lindisfarne. These are the things that I really find fascinating. This seemingly unimportant and unused patch of grass that has a story like this tied to it, it really makes you think what other lost stories there are just all around us. But this one was extra special, especially because we got lucky and saw hundreds of seals retreating back out into the ocean with tide. All the way back across the country, down to Cornwall now, and walking across Bodmin Moor, we can find the Hurlers stone circles. And they're so unique. To have 3 stone circles in this proximity to each other is unseen anywhere else in the country. And if this wasn't enough for you, walking further along the moor, you will actually arrive at the Cheesewring, which is unbelievably a completely natural rock formation, said to be the result of a rock throwing contest between giants and a saint. Now, speaking of stone circles, I've got another one in this video. This one is up in the Lake District though, and you may have heard of it as it's been gaining a little bit of attention recently. It's one of the earliest in the country, dating back to around 3000 BC, and its arrangement and location suggest that it was an important meeting place for Neolithic communities. And I mean, you can see why, because the views from this vantage point are unmatched. Okay, now this is the final spot in this video, and we're going back down to Dorset for it, because there you can find Chesil Beach. It's an 18-mile long shingle beach, and it's the largest tombolo in the UK. And the tombolo is when an island becomes attached to the mainland by creating what looks like a double-sided beach, essentially, and that's kind of what this is. The island in question is the Isle of Portland, and in this case, this beach just looks like you've stepped foot on another planet. It really does. And there you have it. I really do think these places offer an amazing glimpse into England's history and stories, so I really think they deserve a little bit more attention. So that's what I'm trying to do with this video and the others in this series. If you do want to watch more videos from all over England, I will link them here. Thank you for watching this one. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.